Vaishnava Charana Kalyani Rakani Mati Bori Doi Dori Vaishnava Charana Kalyani Rakani Mati Bori Doi Dari. Don't speed up. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Hari. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Hari. Vaishnava Thakura Aprakrita Sada Nirdosha Ananda Moya. Vaishnava Thakura Apakrita Sada Nirdosha Ananda Moya. Krishna Name Priti Jode Udasina Jivite Doyadra Hoya. Krishna Name Priti Jode Udasina Jibete Doyadra Hoya. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Hari. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Hari. Abhimana Hina Bhajane Prabhina Vishaite Anasakta. Bhajane Prabhina Vishaite Anasakta. Abhimana Hina Bhajane Prabhina Vishaite Anasakta. Andara Bahire Nishkapata Sada Nitya Lila Anurakta. Andara Bahire Nishkapati Sada Nitya Lila Anurakta. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Hari. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Hari. Kanishta Madhyama Uttama Prabhede Vaishnava Trivida Gani. Kanishta Madhyama Uttama Prabhede Vaishnava Trivida Gani. Kanishte Adara Madhyame Pranati Sadara Madhyame Pranati Uttame Shushashuni Kanishte Adara Madhyame Pranati Uttame Shushashuni Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Har Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Hari Har Jai Jaina Vaishnava Chiniya Lohiya Adara Koribo Jabe Jina Vaishnava Chiniya Lohiya Adara Koribo Jabe Adara Koribo Jabe Vaishnavera Kripa Jahi Sabha Siddhi Abhashya Paibo Tabe Vaishnavera Kripa Jahi Sabha Siddhi Abhashya Paibo Tabe Kabe Mue Vaishnave Chinibo Hari Har Kabe Mue Vaishnave Vaishnava Charitra Sarvada Pavitra Jai Ninde Hinsa Kori Vaishnava Charitra Sarvada Pavitra Jai Ninde Hinsa Kori Jaininde Hinsa Kori Bhakti Vinoda Nasamba Setare Take Sadamuna Dori Nasamba Setare Bhakti Vinoda Nasamba Setare Take Sadamuna Dori Kabe Mui Vaishnave Chinibo Hari Hari 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Kave Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Harihar Kave Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Harihar Kave Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Harihari Kave Mui Vaishnava Chinibo Harihari Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Jai Vaishnav Thakur Amito Mara Kukur Vaishnav Thakur Amito Mara Kukur Jaya Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Gaura Haribo Shri Guru Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Srila Prabhupada Ke Shri Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ke Shri Prem Data Nityananda Prabhu Ke Shri Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ke Bolo Giriraj Maharaj Ke Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Giri Govardhana Ke Shri Vrindavan Dham Ke Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ke Shri Purushottam Ketra Vipralamba Ketra Jagannath Puri Dham Ke Shri Madhuja Rasaganaiti Murti Mahabhav Prakash Jagannath Swami Ke Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Shri Mati Subhadra Mai Sudarshan Ju Ke Shri Shri Radha Lalita Tota Gopinath Ju Ke Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ke Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan Ke Shri Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hare Ke Go Premanande Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ke Anavajamgi Ki Gora Graganya Gana Gota Golaruharam Goranga Gudatama Gopyada Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshi Kavaram Satatam Namami Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachi Hadile Kakola Kahe Premananda Hemana Gauranga Hridaya Dariya Bola Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Laha Gaurangira Namare Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Hoy Amara Pranare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Yasyaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya, Prema Bidana Parama Pumarta, Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Madgavirapi Gopala Svikriyat Kripaya Jadi Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Rishayustat Priya Janaha. Oh Krishna, you're known as Gopal. You please accept and maintain the cows in the form of my words. Please experience the pleasure of personally drinking the milk from those cows and inspire others to do the same. Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunathabda Brajabala Bapahimam Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vaishnava Mataji. I don't remember their names.
This is Timothy.
And
this is
Serenity. Timothy and Serenity. So we want to welcome Timothy and Serenity here. Thank you very much for coming. And especially Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Mother Annavadyangi. So Timothy and Serenity, you have to be really serene, okay? I know sometimes, do you ever come to talks like this, Serenity? Not very often, really. Sometimes, you can ask these guys over here, let's be honest, okay? Sometimes, just really honestly, sometimes it gets a little boring. Okay. Sometimes it's like, we're going to try real hard, okay, but it's not an entertainment thing. We're going to recite some verses from Srimad Bhagavatam right now, from the 17th chapter of the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. And that's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's okay, and probably if you tolerate, it'll get over with pretty quick. We're going to recite text number 16 to 25. Just the Sanskrit. Okay? No purport. Because it's really nice. We should, it's not the same. If you just recite the English, somebody said, you just want the shlokas, and they said, the shlokas means the English or the Sanskrit. Shlokas never means the English. Shlokas means the Sanskrit. Because for those of you who speak more than one language, and who relish poetry especially, and other languages, you cannot translate it. You can't get all the different, sometimes there's double, triple meanings. You may give the second meaning in the translation, but it's another thing when you see the meaning as you're reading it. And all the alliterations and the puns and words and so many nice things. Sanskrit's very good. We should try. It's very purifying. Okay? So everybody's brave enough? Okay. You've all been trained up by Vaisheshika, I know so. So, text number 16, all together. Shri Shukuvacha evam saptaschiketetur vimanat avaruyasa prasadayam asasatim murdnanamrena bharata Citraketu uvacha Pratigrami te sapam Atmano nan bhake Devar matyayat yat proktam Purvadishtam hitashyatat Sangsara chakra etasmin Jantur agyana mohita Brahmyam sukam cha dukam cha Bhunkte sarvata sarvada Naivatmana paraschapi Kartasyat sukha dukayo Kartaram manyate tragya Atmanam parameva cha Guna pravaha etasmin Kasapa kot nugraha Kasvargo naraka sova Kim sukam dukam evava Eka srijati bhutani Bhagavan atmamayaya Esham bandhum cha moksham cha Sukam dukam cha niskala Natasya kaschit daita pratipo Nagyati bandhur naparo nachasmya Samasya sarvata niranjanasya Sukhe naraga kuta eva rosha Tatapi tachakti visaga esham Sukhaya dukaya hitaya hitaya Bandhaya mokshaya chamritya janmana Jasriram samstaye vakam Atta prasadayena tvam Sapa mokshaya bhamani Yan manyase yasaduktam Mama taksham yati Shri Sukuvacha Iti prasadja giriso Vikratitur arindama Jagama swavimanena Pashyatosma yatostayo Tata Bhagavan Rudro Rudranim idam abravit Devasi daitya siddhanam Parsadhanam trasindhatam Sri Rudra Huvacha Dristavatyasi Sushoni Hare Udbhuta Karmana Mahatmyam Britya Brityanam Nisprihanam Mahatmanam Narayana Parasavena Kutaschana Bibhyati Swagapavarga Narkesu Apitulyat Darshina Dehinam Dehi Samyogad Dvanvanishvara Lilaya Sukam Dukam Mitir Janma Saponugraha Evacha Avivekta Krita Pungso Yarta Mani Guna Dosha Vikalpascha Bid Eva Svavyajit Krita Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhaktim Udvahatam Rinam Jnana Vairagya Viryanam Nahi Kaschit Vapashraya Naham Virinsho Na Kumara Narado Na Brahma Putra Munaya Sureshaha Vidama Yashyehitam Amsakam Saka Natatsvarupam Pritag Ishamanina Nahyasa Kishchin Na Priyasva Paropiva Atmatvat Sarva Bhutanam Sarva Bhuta Priyo Hari Tasya Chayam Mahabhagas Citraketu Priyo Nuga Sarvatra Samadrik Santo Yaham Chaivat Vacha Priya Tasmanna Vishmaya Karya Purusheshu Mahatmasu Shabhakteshu Santeshu Samadarshishu. So we'll stop there, and in our next session tomorrow we'll chant the final 6 verses, text 41. So I'd like to read again text 15 and back up a little bit for a few of us who weren't here in previous session. It's also good just to hear some things again. that we heard about Citraketu and how he became a great demon. But a demon, Vritrasura, who was greater than Indra, greater than the most religious person. And Maharaj Parikshit, when he heard all about that, he said, wait a minute, how is it possible? How is a demon greater than the most religious Indra? And so then, Sukadeva Goswami began to relate the history of Citraketu and how he got this blessing from Angira Muni. He really wanted a son. He had so many wives, but he had no children. Really wanted a son. And Angira Muni gave him a blessing. You'll have a son who's going to be a source of great happiness and great distress. You're not a source of distress for your parents ever, are you? Sometimes? He's an honest man. Huh? And so we heard how a very terrible thing happened. The co-wives, they became envious of that wife who'd given birth to the child. She's getting more attention from her husband than we're getting. And so they poisoned the child, and the child died. And then Citraketu was lamenting like anything. Oh, I'm going to die. I lost my son. And then Angira Muni came back, this time with Narad Muni. And they said, oh, you're crying, you want your son again? Yes, yes. They brought him back to life. And then that child began to speak, although he was just a little child, even younger than you. He began to speak in a very self-realized way. When a small child speaks in a very self-realized way, like Nitai when he's giving class the other day, it's a very, very nice thing. It's very pleasing for the heart, isn't it? But when they just want to play basketball or talk about Spider-Man or something, we don't appreciate that so much. So that child began to speak like a self-realized soul. And all the adults, they listened. And the child said, who's really my mother? Who's really my father? I've had so many mothers, so many fathers. I've taken birth so many times. And Citraketu and his wife, wow, they had a real eye-opener. And they became devotees. So he took initiation from Narad Muni. And within how many days? 7 days after getting initiated, he had darshan of the Lord. It's pretty good. 7 days after getting the mantra, he saw the Lord. And then the Lord gave him a nice car to drive around in, airplane. And he filled it up with beautiful girls, Vidyadhari girls. And they went all over the universe doing Harinam, Kirtan. And then one day, he came across Lord Shiva. And Parvati was sitting on his lap in a kind of very intimate way. And Citraketu saw that, and the Bhagavatam says, I'm not taking sides right now, the Bhagavatam says that he began to criticize Lord Shiva. Hey, what are you doing? This is a very attached, how is it that Lord Shiva, he's the most detached person of all? He's Yogeshwar, he's the Lord of all the yogis, but he's got this girl on his lap, and he seems so attached. And our acharyas have described, Srila Prabhupada writes, as we were mentioning in our last session, that there's two ways to look at it. On one hand, Citraketu had become proud. Even though he had direct darshan of the Lord, he became a little proud. Don't you know who I am? I'm a great person. And he became so impudent. What was the word for impudent? Does anybody remember? Drisva. And who was another example of impudence? Indra. Indra became so impudent that he became so angry. He had these Brijbasis, they have to worship me. I'm the one who gives rain. After all, I'm the big person. But he doesn't give rain. Krishna gives rain. We don't have to worship Indra. We don't have to take shelter of anyone. Krishna was thinking to himself when he saw all that going on, Jiva Goswami writes, he says that Krishna was thinking, who does this Indra think he is? These Brijbasis, these are my family members. They're millions of times more elevated than this puny Indra. And he's demanding that they worship him. Very, very bad. So I'm going to give him an attitude adjustment. Right? And so he smashed the pride of Indra. And Indra had 3 types of pride, right? Pratihata, means it crushed. Pratihata, mada, dristo, denda, devendra garba. He had this mada, this intoxication, which is what happens when you get some position sometimes. Mada also means sex desire. It means 3 things. It means pride. It means lust. It means intoxication. And he had this drista, this impudence that he dared to chastise the Brijbasis. He decided, he told his spies that, I want you to go and I want you to kill every single person, every single cow, every single living entity in Braj, except one, in Maharaj Nanda. I want you to let him live, because I want him to see everyone die. And then after everyone dies, then we'll also kill him. It's really not nice. That's very, very impudent, isn't it? Do you ever act in an impudent way? No, you're very good. We know. Okay. He's never like that. You don't tell your parents what to do or anything like that. Okay. Gita Priya, sometimes she tells her mother, no broccoli. Right? Right? That's called drista. She's your mother. So, Indra became a little proud. And he did this terrible, terrible thing because of that pride. And the third type of pride, which Raghunath Das Goswami describes, is udanda. That he had this, raised a stick. That's one meaning of udanda. Another meaning of udanda is that he pushed himself forward. He demanded respect instead of commanding respect. And we touched on that before. We mentioned something about the bad attitude of entitlement. And I just touched a little on that. I'll say a few words more now. That if you, I Googled this thing a while back, because that's where we go for the Google guru, right? And I Googled this thing a while back, and I found that many, many Christians have written things also about entitlement. Because they understand also it's a very nasty disease for spiritualists to have. When you come to the temple and people, oh, it's really nice that you came, we're here to bless you. We're better than you. And that's the attitude of entitlement. That's the attitude of pride, which comes sometimes with spiritual life. We think that we're better than some other person, when actually real, genuine, saintly persons, they feel themselves lower than other people. And that's hard to imagine sometimes, but that's the attitude of a genuine saintly person. So this attitude of entitlement comes sometimes, and we start thinking, this is due to me. They should give me respect because I'm a senior devotee. I joined 3 weeks ago, and I'm almost an incarnation. I know 2 verses from Bhagavad Gita already. I mean, God, you should give me some respect, right? Sometimes we tell this story about one of the most important spiritual people in my life is Jamuna Mataji, Prabhupada's disciple. Very, very exalted personality. I feel like she's an acharya in our line. And she, a little before she left this world, she went to Mayapur. And they were doing kirtan regular. Wouldn't you like to do kirtan with Jamuna? It's good. Her voice is just raw bhakti. It's just such a powerful, powerful personality. So she was doing kirtan with a small group of devotees, and she told them, look, you should all come every day. Same people. And be on time and don't miss anything. Okay? So they were coming. And after a few days, kirtan was really good. Some other devotee came to the door, knocked on the door, and she was a little shy. And she said, can I come in also? Take part in the kirtan? And Jamuna, without even hesitating, she said, no, I'm sorry, there's not enough room. How would you feel? You'd feel bad. You'd feel embarrassed if somebody came in and they asked you, you said, well, there's enough room. And somebody else said, well, there's room out on the balcony. There's other room. They felt embarrassed because they knew her. She's their friend. But Jamuna is saying there's not enough room. So she came in finally and sat down and did kirtan with the devotees. And afterwards, what's her name? Braj Lila Mataji, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's disciple, wonderful devotee. She went to Jamuna and she said, look, I don't understand. You have such a broad heart. You're so big-hearted. What do you mean there's not enough room? Why are you saying that for this Mataji? And Jamuna gave such a deep answer, such a good answer. She said, I could see written all over her face the attitude of entitlement. And I'm a devotee. I have a right to come in. Gurudev's here. I haven't seen Gurudev in at least 2 months or a year. He's giving some darshans. I have a right just to walk in. We think like that. sometimes. We think we're a big person, we have something. And Jamuna said that this group, we're meant to be intimate. She's a very nice devotee. I have no problem. It's very good. But if you don't have some intimacy, it's required in our spiritual life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is famous for being Mahavadanyaya avatar. We see him on the altar with his two hands outstretched, freely giving everything that no one else has given before. But he began that movement behind closed doors. I only know 3 words in a real language, well, a couple more, but Bideshi Prabhesh Nishad. In Hindi it's the same also. It means foreigners not allowed entrance. And that's what they were telling everyone there. Mahaprabhu began, why? To teach us that first we should have something. We should also have very intimate sanghas. And I know Vaisheshika Prabhu has really cultivated that here. I love his conception of preaching. You know, he says that preaching means you fill a cup with milk, right? And then when the cup is completely full, and you keep pouring, the milk that pours over, that's your preaching. That's our movement. And this is why also he takes the devotees on yatra to India. And we're also preaching there. Our preaching is part of our bhajan, part of our service to Guru and Krishna. But we also need to have some private talks for ourselves. Something Rupa Goswami speaks about this. He says of the 6 different relationships with devotees which are necessary for bhakti, which nourish bhakti, one of them is guyam akyati prichati. You have to have something very confidential, not just talking about Spider-Man, okay? But something confidential and close to the heart. And that's going to differ with whoever we're speaking with. So that thing is required. So in this chapter, in text number 15, Parvati, she curses Citraketu, and she says, Atapapi asim yonim asirim yahi durmate yateha bhuyo mahatam nakarta putra kilbisham. She addresses him again as someone very impudent. Just for, oh, impudent one. And then she says, my dear son, putra, you're my son. Now you take birth in a low sinful family of demons, so you'll not commit such an offense again towards exalted saintly persons in this world. Parvati cursed him. And in the next verse, Shukadeva Goswami describes, Evam saptas Citraketur vimanad avaruyasa prasadayam asasatim murdna namrena bharata. Shukadeva Goswami continues, he said, my dear Pariksha, what was Citraketu's reaction when he was cursed by Parvati? Immediately he got off his airplane, he got off his big throne, off his big position. That airplane represents something. That was a kind of position, a recognition that was given to him personally by the Lord. And by riding in that, everyone can understand, wow, he's a big man. It's better than a Rolls Royce. Huh? So as soon as he was cursed by Parvati, immediately he got down off that position. And he bowed down before her, and with great humility, he spoke very sweet words, and he pleased her completely. Citraketu uvacha patrigani te sapam atmano nanjalambike devar matyaya yat proktam purvadishtam hitashyatat. Citraketu said, my dear mother. He addressed her as mother. Very, very sweet thing. In Vedic culture, that's a very, very high thing to address someone as mother. He said, with my own hands folded together, I accept this curse. Why do you have this particular mudra, Shraddhanjali mudra, like this? It means I'm not doing like this. Right? I'm not doing like this. I'm not doing like this. Right? Oh, those all mean something, isn't it? I'm doing like this. It means I accept. And sometimes we do like this, right? I've seen some. you chastise me. I accept whatever comes. He said, with my hands folded together, I accept the curse on me. I don't mind this curse, because happiness and distress are given by the demigods as a result of one's past deeds. Prabhupada writes in his purport, Tatenu kampam sisamikshamano. This is later on in the purport. A devotee always accepts punishment from anyone as a mercy of the Lord. It's a very amazing thing. I remember from a long time ago in my past a song that the greatest of the sadists and the masochists too, screaming, please hit me and I'll hit you. And that's what the sadists and the masochists do, right? Someone's a sadist, they like to hit other people, and a masochist likes to be hit. So they come together like this. But devotees are not masochists. They're not just getting some pleasure in being abused. There's a nice verse in the Sanat Kumar Samhita, which speaks about this subject matter. Tadanam Vatsanam Kami Bhogyat-vena Yatastriyaha Grinati Vaishnavanam Cha Tad-grayam Tata Budai. Just as a lusty person, a kami, someone who's a very, very lusty person, he gets some pleasure when his mistress beats him. Sometimes people pay money for that even. And you come and you beat me, and they get some kind of strange pleasure from that. So he says, in the same way, Grinati Vaishnavanam Cha Tad Grayam Tata Budai. Someone who's Budai, a wise person, they'll get pleasure from the chastisement of a Vaishnava. The chastisement and beating of a Vaishnava. They don't complain. They don't say, hey, don't you know who I am? Why are you doing it? You're an offender. You shouldn't do this thing. Rather, the nature of Vaishnavas is they tolerate and they forgive. Rupa Goswami describes this in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says that one of the qualities of a Vaishnava is Priyamvada. Priyamvada means to tolerate and forgive. And he defines it exactly. He says, Janikrita paradhe pi santvavadi priyamvada. That priyamvada means to speak in such a sweet, pleasing way, even to people who've offended you. You speak in a nice, sweet way. This is priyamvada. This is a devotee. Even if your mother tells you to eat a big plate of broccoli. She didn't tell me to say that. So, then still you take it, right? And you speak very sweetly to her, right? That's called priyamvada. Because a Vaishnava is a tolerant person, and they don't become angry and thinking, why did you do this? Sometimes we play, I like to call it the blame game. We blame everybody else in our life. Probably I'd be chanting Sudanam by now, but it wasn't for my wife. You know, she's always talking to me, always complaining, this thing and that thing, or this because of this devotee over here, or the government. It's the USA or the CIA or the KGB or the GBC or the. It's this thing or that thing. It's always somebody else's fault, right? We blame everybody in the whole world except for one person. Me. Obviously, it's not my fault. But our spiritual life begins, tatenu kampam sisamikshamano, when we accept, no, it's my fault. I deserve it. Even I deserve broccoli. That's pretty tough. So the Vaishnavas, they're very, very tolerant in that way. And it's described, wonderful verse in the first canto, chapter 18. Tiraskrita vipralabda saptakshipta hata api nashita pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabhavo pihi. The devotees are so tolerant that even though someone comes and starts criticizing them, defaming them, even though askrita, krita means to defame them, vipralabda, maybe they cheat them, or it says here sapta, they give them a sap, they give them a curse. Or shipta, they neglect them. They just don't pay attention to them. And even hata, they want to go and kill them. Still, nashitat pratikurvanti. Pratikurvanti means to counteract. The Vaishnavas, they don't fight back. They just accept. Tad bhakta prabhavo pihi. The devotees are never inclined for revenge. They're such tolerant, wonderful persons. There's a nice story, maybe we told this last year, I don't know here. It's one of my favorite stories from Prema Vilas about a person named Chanda Roy. Did we tell that story, Chanda Roy, last year? Do you remember? Yes? You like that story? So Chanda Roy, he was a very, very proud person, very, very arrogant, and he was always doing all kinds of bad things. Probably was even worse than you are. He was killing people and robbing people and doing all kinds of terrible things. And at one point, the Nawab captured him and put him in prison. But just before that, Chanda Roy had become a devotee. Narottam Das Thakur came because Chanda Roy had a ghost in his body, right? Brahma Rakshasa ghost, and Narottam Das Thakur drove it away. And Chanda Roy then became a devotee. And Narottam Das Thakur initiated him into Radha Krishna mantra. And life was pretty good when you have Narottam Das Thakur as your guru, right? He's taking bath in the Ganga and getting to hear Krishna Katha. And could you imagine getting to hear Narottam Das Thakur doing kirtan? It's pretty good. Right? He was very, very happy. But one day he was on the bank of the Ganga with a bunch of horses and different men. And the Nawab came there with a big army and captured him. And he put him in prison. And he was in this terrible prison. There was nothing to eat. No halava, can you imagine? Even there was no broccoli. Only thing that they would give you was cockroaches, and it's non-vegetarian. It was a very, very disgusting, terrible situation. Worse than what you have, Gita Priya. And it was a very, very dark, nasty prison. So meanwhile, his father was very, very disturbed, and he put out a proclamation, "Who can help my son?" So one tantric person came, he's all dressed in black. Sometimes these tantric persons, which is a little disgusting, they take human stool and they put it under their fingernails. And they keep that there and they get some kind of tantric powers from that. Very nasty thing. And they stay in you don't want to do that, do you? Good. Okay. They stay in the crematorium kind of places and like that. So he came to Chanda Roy's father and told him that I can rescue your son. Huh? You just wait. And so then that tantric, he knew a secret tunnel to get to that prison. But to go through that tunnel, it was full of cobras and scorpions and different things. He had to chant some special mantra. And he got there to the prison, and he came in and he said, "Here I am to save the day." Well, he told it to Chanda Roy, "Come with me." And Chanda Roy said, "Who are you?" He said, "Your dad sent me." He said, "Oh, okay." And that tantric told him, he said, "Come with me, I'm here to save you. Just chant this mantra. You chant this mantra and you can become free from prison." And Chanda Roy says, "I'm not going to chant your mantra. I already have a mantra from my Gurudev. And if I chant your mantra, then it's an offense. How can I give up the mantra that I've gotten from my Gurudev?" He said, "Better let me stay here in prison." He said, "It's not so bad. Food's pretty lousy. But nobody bothers me. My wife doesn't nag me. I no complaints, no problems or anything like that. I'm just here, happy and peaceful." And so that person, and Chanda Roy, he accepted that situation. And he thought, actually, this is very good for my bhakti. Because I can do bhajan here, I can chant, and no one's going to harass me. He didn't complain about that. Similarly, Srivas Thakur, we read to hear the story about him, that once one very envious person put some meat and some wine and very nasty things on his doorstep to make it look like he was worshiping Goddess Bhavani. And what did Srivas Thakur do? And some of us, we go outside, "Oh my God, I better clean that up real quick before somebody sees it." And Srivas Thakur didn't that. He went outside and he started calling, "Hey, come see. I just wanted everybody to see what I do at night." He didn't deny it. He claimed it. "No, this is..." And everybody immediately understood, this is not Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur wouldn't do this. Some person committed a terrible, terrible offense. But he didn't argue against that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we were mentioning, they had a policy, Bideshi Prabesh Nished. Outsiders not allowed inside of the kirtan in Srivasangam. And there was one Brahmin who was very, very angry about that. And once he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he took out his, in Oriya we call it paita, a Brahmin thread. And he broke his Brahmin thread and he cursed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You'll never enjoy material life. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. He became very, very happy and he accepted that. Just like you, when your parents chastise you, you just accept it very humbly, right? No. Well, you should do that. It's good for you. That'll help build character. Gita Priya always does, right? No comment, huh? Your mother knows. So we read in this section, Prabhupada writes in his purport, he says, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Maharaj Citraketu, being cursed by Parvati, should be considered to be the mercy of the Lord. This is how a devotee thinks. This is the mercy of the Lord. We may think, I don't like this president, this guy is an idiot, or this or that, or I don't like all the smog. There's so many things we can complain about, isn't it? Things are so materialistic. I don't like all the billboards. I really don't like the music that they play in the stores. Really very, very annoying. We may complain so much about so many things, but did we ever stop and think, maybe I deserve it? Did we ever stop and think there's a reason why I took birth in this time? With this person as a president, with the roads as they are, in this situation, did we ever stop and think about that? That maybe this is some lesson from Krishna. This is something for me. This is what I deserve. It's said that the environment is always friendly. Whatever our situation is, the environment is always friendly, because when a devotee begins to do Krishna bhajan, when we begin to chant, something happens in your life. Karmadi nirdahati kintu chabakti bhajam. The Brahma Samhita says that you're no longer an ordinary person. When things happen to you, we see it as directly coming from Krishna. It may look like it's good, it may look like it's bad. But either way, it's good, because it's coming from Krishna. It's a lesson for me. Maybe I deserve much, much worse than this, and Krishna's just given me a little something. So Prabhupada says, the Lord wanted Citraketu to return to Godhead as soon as possible, and therefore he terminated all the reactions of his past deeds. Acting to the heart of Parvati, the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, cursed Citraketu in order to end all his material reactions. Otherwise, Citraketu would probably still be going around today in his airplane with all the beautiful girls doing their kirtan. Life's good, right? And it said in the Bhagavatam, this section, that he was, for millions of years, he was doing like that. But Krishna wanted, no, you should come to me. He said, thus Citraketu became Vitrasura in his next life and returned home back to Godhead. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commented on this verse. He said that Citraketu said, I accept the curse. There's no harm in accepting the curse, because I haven't actually offended you or Shiva. I haven't really done anything. And there's no fault in you cursing me, even though I'm innocent. I'm just receiving my karma. I deserve this. Actually, I deserve worse. He says, actually, the devotee should feel like this out of humility. He says, actually, however the devotee who has performed prema, he says, actually, the devotee who has performed prema has no trace of karma. Because even the stage previous to prema, all karmas are destroyed. He says, if the devotees had some karma, they wouldn't be able to control the Lord. Like Citraketu, he's actually controlling the Lord. The Lord is personally intervening. And we hear this also in the story of Gopakumar in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Krishna told him, he said that you didn't have the qualification to come here, but I intervened. I couldn't tolerate. I wanted you to come to me. Vishwanath, he says that somebody who's under the control of karma, they can't control the Lord. If we're under the control of karma, there's no question you can't control the Lord. You can't even control your mother with no broccoli, right? We had to become free from that. So, Sukadeva Goswami, he describes that Parvati and Lord Shiva became astonished to see the attitude of Citraketu. I've experienced this in my own life. I grew up, one of my relatives was a very kind of angry person. He was a staff sergeant in the Air Force, and he was also an alcoholic, and an angry person. I didn't really know how to deal with him. And then after some years, I learned to just keep my head down and be humble. And even if I was right, just accept whatever he was saying. And I discovered that if I did like that, and especially if I was right, and he figured it out later on, he came under my control. You should try it. It's good. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, if you try to argue with them, it'll never work because they're bigger than you, Gita Priya. Mm-hmm. It'll never work to try to argue with them. But if we act in such a way, we become a little bit humble. Their heart melts. And even if they're wrong, even if broccoli is not a proper thing to be given to little girls, right? Even if that's true, they'll figure it out sooner or later. And then they'll see, oh, she was so humble. And Gita Priya ate all that broccoli that we gave her. She was so good. So Citraketu then, he told Parvati in text number 24, he said, Atta prasadaye na tvam sapa mokshaya bhamani nayanmase tyasaduktam mamataksham yatam sati. O mother, you are now unnecessarily angry with me. But since all my happiness and distress are destined by my past activities, even broccoli, I don't plead to be excused or relieved from your curse. Although what I've said is not wrong, please, whatever you think is wrong, be pardoned. Please forgive me for that. So when Shiva and Parvati heard that, Sukadeva Goswami says, Iti prasadya giriso Citraketu arindama jagama svavimanyena pashyatos mayatos tasya. The Sukadeva Goswami, he said, Maharaj Parikshit, after Citraketu satisfied Lord Shiva and his wife, then he got back on his airplane and he left as they were looking on. And Shiva and Parvati, they saw that although she just cursed him, gave him the most terrible curse, you're going to die, you're going to take birth as a demon, no prasadam, no kirtan, you become a demon. And Citraketu wasn't afraid. And it says that at that time, Shiva and Parvati, they were completely astonished. And in the text 27, Lord Shiva, he smiles. And he tells Parvati a very interesting thing. Dristavat yasi susroni harer adbhuta karmana. Mahatmyam britya brityanam nisprihanam mahatmanam. He says this is a Mahatma. Have you understood how great the Vaishnavas are now, my dear wife? They're servants of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. They're great souls, and they don't have any desire for material happiness. Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport about halfway through, he says, just see, Lord Shiva is telling Parvati, just see, although you cursed the king, he wasn't at all afraid or sorry, even though you cursed him. It's a pretty heavy thing to have material nature personified. Durga Devi, curse you. That's about the worst kind of thing I could think that could happen materially. Although you cursed him, he wasn't at all afraid or sorry. Rather, he offered respect to you and he called you mother and he accepted your curse. He thought himself that I have some fault on my part. He didn't say anything in retaliation. He said, this is the excellence of a devotee. By mildly tolerating your curse, he has excelled the glory of your beauty. And what did we say? Parvati Devi, she's like the original Miss Universe. Most beautiful girl in the universe. You're very famous for being beauty. You're very glorious for that. But he's excelled the glory of your beauty. He's more beautiful because of his tolerance. Tolerance is such a beautiful, wonderful characteristic. He's excelled the glory of your beauty and your power to curse him. He said, I can impartially judge that this devotee, Citraketu, has defeated you and your excellence simply by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. You've been defeated. In Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that in this way, Krishna showed the greatness of his devotee, Citraketu. That Citraketu, his love for the Lord didn't decrease in any way. And he showed Citraketu, his devotee's power to remain indifferent when he was cursed by Parvati. And he says that the word Mahatmyam of great devotees in the verse is significant. And he says that by saying this, Lord Shiva is telling Parvati that the curse that you uttered in anger to him doesn't give even the slightest bit of unhappiness to Citraketu. He just completely accepts it. And he said, therefore, that curse has no power. Your curse is useless. Huh? He said, you should not treat great devotees who have prem bhakti like this from this day on. This lesson is learned. There's another story of one Vaishnava who's said to have lived around 4200 BC, 4200 BC in South India. And his name was Tirumadi Sapiran. I can't say South Indian names very good, please excuse me. Tirumadi Sapiran. Does that sound right? I'm probably butchering it, I'm sorry. Trying. So, he was a devotee, and one day, Shiva and Parvati, they were going around giving blessings to everyone. Because whoever, they'd fly overhead on Nandi, on the bull, and whoever's, that shadow, their shadow touched someone, then they'd get all prosperity, everything would be really good. They'd get a beautiful wife, or maybe a third wife, or fourth wife, and they'd get lots of money and all kinds of good things, right? So this devotee, Tirumadi Saiprayaran, he was sitting there chanting his japa, and he saw this shadow coming, and immediately he got up and moved out of the way. And Parvati saw that, well, what is with this guy? Huh? And Lord Shiva said, you don't understand, dear. He said, this is a Vaishnava, and he's in another kind of category. And Parvati said, everybody wants our blessings. We're the queen and king of the material world. How do they? Everybody wants our. We should go there and give them a blessing. And Lord Shiva said, don't think it's a good idea. Parvati said, no, come on. We should go there and give him some ashirvad. And Lord Shiva and Parvati suddenly they appeared before that devotee. And they're standing there. For a long time. And he was busy because he was sewing. He had, this devotee, Tirumadi Saipiran, he had this, he only wore one old piece of cloth. And when it get really rotten, it'd start to tear or something, then he would stitch it up. But he didn't have a needle, he had a piece of like bamboo that he was using for that thing. And he was struggling with that. And then Parvati finally kind of, huh? And then he looks up, and just goes back to what he's doing. And Parvati said, hey, we're here to give you some blessing. And the devotee said, yeah, no thanks. Parvati said, we're here to give you a blessing. What would you like? And he doesn't even look up this time. He says, I don't need your blessing. Thanks a lot. And Parvati became offended. She said, he can't speak to us like that. Lord Shiva said, you don't know he's a Vaishnava. And Parvati said, no. We're in charge here in the universe. He can't speak like this to us. You offer him some benediction. So Lord Shiva, he's a good husband. He said, yes, dear. Whatever you say, dear. So he told that devil, he said, look, we're here in front of you right now. My wife's giving me a hard time. You got to accept a blessing from us. And so he hardly even looks up. He says, well, can you give me liberation? And Lord Shiva said, well, that's one thing I can't give. Lord Vishnu gives that, but I give you anything else you want. He said, no, there's nothing else. He said, look, come on, my wife's really upset with me. It must be something that you want. I'll give you some benediction. And he says, well, okay, you can give me one benediction. See, I have this problem. I have this little piece of twig here I'm trying to use to stitch my cloth, but it keeps the thread keeps slipping off of it. Could you make it so the thread sticks to it so that I can sew my cloth? When Parvati heard that, her face became bright red. She became really angry. And she told, he's making fun of us. You have to punish him. Lord Shiva said, yes, dear. Right away, dear. So then from Lord Shiva's third eye came this terrible fire, started coming out. And this Tirumati, he's just sitting there stitching his cloth, and he doesn't even do anything. He just kind of crosses his feet, and from his big toe, all of a sudden comes this great burst of water and puts out that fire. And then Lord Shiva tried so many different things, so many different ways to destroy him, and each time, hardly looking up, that devotee did something and it would put it all out. And so then, finally, Lord Shiva, he became very pleased with him. And he said, henceforth, you should be known as Bhakti Sar. And Bhakti Sar is one of the 12 alwars in the Sri Vaishnava tradition. Because you're just completely fixed in bhakti and you don't want anything to do with our benedictions. You're not going to worship us. You don't want anything from us. You're just completely, totally fixed in Krishna. So that devotee, he didn't try to fight with Lord Shiva. He just was doing his service. But he defeated Parvati Devi. And then Lord Shiva, when he left with his wife, he said, see, I told you, these Vaishnavas, they're dangerous people. You don't mess with the Vaishnavas. They're very, very powerful. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that Lord Shiva, in this way, he was telling Parvati that your curse is powerless, it's useless. You shouldn't treat great devotees who have prem bhakti in this way. It's a big, big mistake. And then in the 28th verse of this chapter is a very famous verse. We can recite together. Narayana parasarve nakutaschana bibyati swagapavarga narkeshu apitu yatya darshanaha. Lord Shiva told Parvati, this is the nature of the devotees. The devotees who are Narayana Para, who are completely fixed in Lord Narayan. They don't want anything else. They don't need any other mantras. They don't need any, whatever they have. Akama sarva kamuva, moksha kamu dadadi. Whether they have lots of material desires, fine. They'll ask Krishna for the material desires. It's not the best thing. But they'll ask that because they only want Krishna. They only want to take shelter of Krishna. So devotees, he said, who are Narayana Para, are only engaged in bhakti to Krishna. They don't fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are only interested in the service of the Lord. So we mentioned this in our last session also, that Prachetas offered a similar prayer to Lord Vishnu. Very nice verse. This verse, I think, appears 4 times in the Bhagavatam in different places. Tuliyama lavena pi naswagam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sanghasya marchanam kim mutasi saha. That those devotees who are taking shelter of Krishna, tuliyama lavena pi, they see equally. Naswagam na punarbhavam. They don't care if I go to Swargalok. Na punarbhavam, if I have to take birth again, if I get liberation. Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kimutasisa. The only thing they want is association with devotees. And so Citraketu indirectly is also indicating this, because he wants to please Parvati. He understands Citraketu is more powerful than Parvati. He could have cursed her back. Lose your husband, this or that. He could have done so many curses, but he didn't do that. He said, no, this is good for me. You're my mother. Because you're the representative of Krishna. You've been given this position. She's Vaishnavi Devi. I should give respect to her. Sometimes we take the devotees to, in Jagannath Puri, to the temple of Shama Kali. The temple of Kali. And the devotees say, what are you coming here for? So this deity was worshipped by Maharaj Prataparudra. and the kings of the Gajapati dynasty. And some of you have been there with us, and sometimes we mention, why did we go to that place? In the same way that the governor of California, if he comes to San Jose, and there's a big Pandal program, some speaking engagement or something, and the mayor is also there of San Jose, the governor of California will give respect to the mayor of San Jose. Even though the mayor, the position of mayor, is much lower than the position of governor. He does that because he wants everybody to behave as good citizens. And so the kings also, they give respect to the Devatas because these are Krishna's representatives. Just like your parents, even they're giving you broccoli. They're God's representatives. You should think the broccoli is coming from God. And we should accept it. Gita Priya is going to be very unhappy with me after class. What is that? Broccoli for lunch. So, this is the nature of devotees. Lord Shiva tells Parvati that when they're completely absorbed in service to Krishna, they don't mind anything. And this is a very, very instructive thing for us also. If we become completely absorbed in Krishna, when we're chanting our japa, when we're doing our reading, we're completely ekantic, one-pointed. You get some satisfaction. You get some peace of mind. And then when you go out in the material world and you have to work your job, which is not actually a material job, it's a spiritual job because you're doing it for your family. Or you're doing it some for the temple or something. But it seems like the material world because nobody talks about Krishna and everything's mundane and it's very lusty and very ignorant sometimes, very tamasic. But when you do that, you can be peaceful. When we go out for book distribution and someone comes and wants to do something bad thing to us, we can tolerate that because we have some happiness in our heart. And even we can smile in our heart. Oh, Krishna sent me this person to test me. Krishna, you're testing me. I saw that. Huh? Okay, that's good. A smart person is happy when they get a test. Because they know a test means I get to progress to the next grade in school. It's not a bad thing. We don't complain about tests. But someone who's a low-class person says, oh, there's a test in school today, I won't go. And then what happens? They have to stay back a year. They don't graduate with the other students. So we don't mind when Krishna sends a test. Rather, we think this is very good. Let Krishna send this thing because then I'm going to make some advancement. So then Lord Shiva, he speaks about all the glories of the Vaishnavas. And in text 31, he says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhaktim Udvahatam Nrinam Jnana Vairagya Viryanam Nahi Kaschid Vipashraya. Persons engaged in devotional service to Lord Vasudeva Krishna have naturally perfect knowledge and detachment from this material world. Therefore, such devotees are not interested in the so-called happiness or so-called distress of this world. And Prabhupada writes, the purport, here the distinction between a devotee and a philosopher who speculates on the subject. Here is the distinction between a devotee and a philosopher who speculates on the subject matter of transcendence. A devotee does not need to cultivate knowledge to understand the falsity or temporary existence of this material world. Because of his unalloyed devotion to Vasudeva, this knowledge and detachment are automatically manifested in his person, as confirmed elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudevi Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, Gyanayat Yashivairagyam Gyanam Chayad Hoitakam. That this knowledge and renunciation, other things automatically come. We don't have to pursue other things. We just pursue our bhakti. And another lesson from all this, in the stark contrast between the attitude of Citraketu and Indra. Indra wanted some position. He said, look, I can do good service for the universe. I can do good service for Krishna because I'm a powerful guy. And you give me this position, then I'll be able to do this service. So Krishna said, yes, yes, go ahead. You can have that position. But Citraketu didn't care for that. And Citraketu was actually much, much more powerful person than Indra. he didn't demand respect, but rather he acted in such a way that that respect came automatically. And even Indra became astonished to see the devotion that Britasura had. And Britasura was accepting the chastisement of Indra. Just as he accepted it from Parvati, he also accepted it from Indra. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to get. And therefore Lord Shiva, he tells Parvati, Nahyashyasti priya kaschin na priya sva paropiva atmavat sarvabhutanam sarvabhuta priyo hari. That a devotee, a Vaishnava, doesn't hold anyone as very dear and no one as inimical. He doesn't see this is my friend, this is my enemy. A devotee has no one as his relative and no one is alien to them. He's actually the soul of all living entities. Excuse me, this verse he's speaking about Krishna, not the devotees. But the devotees also have this similar quality. Thus the Lord is the auspicious friend of all living beings, and he's very near and dear to all of them. Prabhupada writes in the purport that the Supreme Lord is the super soul of all living entities. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, what was the verse? I'm not remembering. What's the verse? That's what canto? 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. Yeah, Durvasa Muni. Krishna speaking to Durvasa Muni. Sadhava hridayam mayam sadhanam hridayam tvaham mananitena janati naham tebyo managabi. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gives a wonderful purport to that. He says that Krishna is the super soul in everyone's heart. But who is the super soul of the super soul? Krishna is in everyone's heart. He is a super soul. But the super soul also has a super soul in his heart. Who is that? That's the devotee. The devotee is the super soul of the super soul. Yeah? Prabhupada says in this purport, as one's self is extremely dear, the super self of the self is still more dear. No one can be the enemy of the friendly super self who is dear, is equal to everyone. So Krishna is equal to everyone, but at the same time, he's the most dear person because he's in the heart of every living entity. And in the same way, the devotees are the most dear to Krishna. So then, I'm going to read just a little bit from the purport of text 34 and 35, and we'll finish with this section. Prabhupada says, and he speaks, maybe I'll read a little bit of the verse. The magnanimous Citraketu is a dear devotee of the Lord. He's equal to all living entities and is free from attachment and hatred. Similarly, I'm also very dear to Lord Narayan. Therefore, no one should be astonished to see the activities of the most exalted devotees of Narayan, for they are free from attachment and envy. They are always peaceful, and they are equal to everyone. Prabhupada writes in his purport, he says that it is said, Vaishnava Kriya Mudra Vignai Na Bujaya. One should not be astonished to see the activities of exalted, liberated Vaishnavas. As one should not be misled by the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should also not be misled by the activities of his devotees. Both the Lord and his devotees are liberated. They're on the same platform. The only difference being that the Lord is a master and the devotees are servants. And therefore we were singing this song just now, Kabi Mui Vaishnava Chinito Hari Hari. And this is the basis of this whole song. The song speaks about 3 types of devotees, a Kanishta, a Madhyam, and Uttam, and how we should particularly respect all of them, and the wonderful glories of the Vaishnavas. But the first thing Bhaktivinoda says is, Kabi Mui, Chinibo Vaishnava Hari. When will that day come when I can recognize who is a Vaishnava? That's the first thing. How do we understand, how do we recognize who is a Vaishnava and who's not a Vaishnava? It's a very, very important subject matter. So Prabhupada says here, Vaishnava Kriya Mudra Vignayana Bujaya, that you can't understand, you can't tell who's a Vaishnava and who's not a Vaishnava. Jagadananda Pandit, he describes it, Vaishnava, what is it? Vaishnava Chiniti Nai, Devata Shakati. That even the Devatas, they don't have the Shakti, the ability to see who's a Vaishnava and who's not a Vaishnava. You can't tell. We can't see who is and who isn't. We have to simply try to respect everyone. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sings about this in one song in his Kalyana Kalpataru. Ekona je brahma kule chaitanyera ari take jani chaitanyera lila pushti kari. Bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. He says that Ekona je brahma kule chaitanyera ari. I know that the enemies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are actually exalted persons. And the reason why they took that birth is for Lila Chaitanyara Lila Pushtikari, to nourish the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I often give an example, I think maybe I gave it here before also, that what would you say if I told you about a temple president who's taking money from the hundi? How many of you could give respect to him? Raise your hand. 1, 2. Okay, that's good. Good person. Now what if we told you that he's having illicit relations with someone's wife? Could you give respect? And what if we told you he's having illicit relations with the wives of 8 or 10 different men? Could you give respect? It's a big scandal. And then what if we told you that sometimes he beats devotees? Or sometimes he kills cows? Or sometimes he breaks temples, he breaks the deities, and sometimes he kills Vaishnavas. Could you give respect? And then what if I told you, actually, he's an eternal associate of the Lord from the spiritual world who came here to help nourish the Lord's pastimes, and his name was Jai or Vijay. Who came as Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksha. And Prabhupada writes in his purport to the Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 1, text 33, he says, Sishupal and Dantavakra were not ordinary demons. When they were formerly personal associates of Lord Vishnu, they apparently fell to this material world, but actually they came to assist the Supreme Personality of Godhead by nourishing his pastimes within this world. Very important principle. We have to give up the attitude that I can see and understand who's a devotee, who's not a devotee. Prabhupada writes in the purport to the 9th canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 13, text 11, he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be seen or unseen according to his own transcendental desire. Similarly, a devotee being Jivan Mukta can be seen or not as he desires. So how do we understand who's a devotee, who's not a devotee? And there's a wonderful story told in this regard, which probably most of you know, about Bhrigu Muni and why it is that Lord Vishnu has his footprint on his chest. You know that? Raise your hand. You know this story? You know this story, pretty much everybody. So Bhrigu Muni, who was given this task to figure out really to figure out who it is who's supreme in this universe. Is it Brahma? Is it Shiva? Or is it Vishnu? Right? So he went to see his dad, Lord Brahma. And he came in, and usually when you come before your father, what do you do? What do you do get to pray? You're supposed to touch your father's feet and bow down. Yeah, good. She does that always, right? But this time he came in and he just didn't say anything. He just kind of stood there. And Lord Brahma became angry. Drishta. Impudent person, what are you doing? You should be respectful to your father. And then Bhrigu Muni left and he went to see Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva was so happy. Hey, my brother Bhrigu Muni, hey. He went to give him a hug. And Bhrigu Muni said, hey, don't touch me. You've got ashes all over your body, snakes, dead bones from dead bodies. Don't touch me. I'll become contaminated. Lord Shiva, you don't want to make Lord Shiva angry. Lord Shiva became very angry with him. And Parvati just held Lord Shiva back. Hey, it's your brother. Calm down. It's okay. Don't do that. You'll be sorry. So Bhrigu Muni barely escaped with his life. The first time he didn't say anything. The second offense was a vocal offense. It was even worse. The first one was more mental. And the third offense, when he came to see Lord Vishnu, he didn't even say anything. He just went up to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu was laying on his back getting massaged, his feet massaged by Lakshmi Devi. And Bhrigu Muni just came up and kicked him in the chest really hard. And Lord Vishnu immediately got up. Oh, are you okay? Did I hurt your foot? Maybe I sprained your foot. My chest is so hard. I'm sorry. I'm so bad. I didn't see that you were coming. I should have gotten up and given respect to you. Of course, Lakshmi Devi wasn't very amused by it. And that's another story. She cursed Bhrigu Muni. But wives are like that. Parvati and Lakshmi. And they become a little angry. So, Vrindavan Das Thakur tells the story in Chaitanya Bhagavat. And he says that actually, Bhrigu Muni was a devotee. And that he was actually doing all these crazy things. He was kicking Lord Vishnu in the chest as part of his service. Could you imagine having that as a service? There was one young Brahmin boy who once came to Ramanujacharya. And he said, Maharaj, please accept me as your disciple, give me initiation. And Ramanuja agreed, okay, I'll give you initiation. Thank you, Gurudev. And then he said, I have some service for you. What's my service? He said, I want you to come here every day and let me wash your feet and I'll drink the water. Would you do that for your Gurus? Let him wash your feet and drink the water? You'd be very embarrassed. That boy came every day. And let Ramanuja wash his feet, and Ramanuja was drinking the water. One day Ramanuja was out for some preaching program. He came back late. It was late at night when he came back, and he saw that young brahmachari was outside the gate. He said, hey, it's so late at night, what are you doing? You should be taking rest. The boy said, Guru Maharaj, I haven't done my service yet. I'm waiting to do my service. So for a Vaishnava, they'll accept whatever the Lord tells them. Lord Shiva, in the Padma Purana, Lord Vishnu once called him and said, hey, I want you to go and do something. I want you to smear ashes all over your body and put dead bones around your neck and things and go and preach some Mayavad philosophy. And Lord Shiva is explaining this to Parvati. He said, Mayavadi machach chastram prachanam buddha muchate. That I came. He told me to do this, so I did. I didn't hesitate. It's very, very difficult to understand Lord Shiva. Very, very difficult to understand a Vaishnava. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says, Adhamma janera jaya charjena dharma adhikari Vaishnaveo kori se karma bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna He says that sometimes, although they're adhikari Vaishnava, they're a great Vaishnav, Adama Janera Je Achar, they act like a fallen person. They act like a materialistic person. So how can you tell who's a Vaishnav and who's not a Vaishnav? Vrindavan Das Thakur asks this question. Krishna kripaye se iha jani bari pare Esaba sankete ke hamare ke hatare bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna He says the conclusion is that only by Krishna's mercy can you understand who's a great Vaishnav. Otherwise, you don't know. You might think, she's just a little girl. She doesn't like broccoli. You don't know. Maybe she's actually a great Vaishnavi, a great devotee. She's just hiding her qualities. So otherwise, if we're not careful, then we may have some great trouble. So how do you solve this problem? How can you tell who's a Vaishnava and who's not? It's a big problem, isn't it? Vrindavan Das Thakur says, I've thought about this and I have a very good solution. Sabbe ite deki eka mahapratika sabare koriva stute vinaya vyavahar. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He said, I figured out a solution to the problem. You just treat everyone like a Vaishnava. You treat everybody like a devotee because you don't know if that housewife, if that grihastha man working a job, if that person you meet on the street, you don't know. Maybe it was Citraketu in his last life and he got cursed to become a demon. And that's why he's at the Menudo festival. Anyway, that's a very terrible thing. Some of these outdoor festivals we used to sometimes go for book distribution and things they cook. Oh my God, it's really terrible. But you don't know who that person is who's there. We can't judge who's a Vaishnava and who's not a Vaishnava. There's a couple stories we'd like to tell in this regard. We'll finish. Is that okay? We tell a story?
Yes.
Yes? It's been a little too boring? Too much philosophy? No, it's okay? You tolerate it? Okay. Thumbs up, all right. So we're going to give free broccoli to all the children after this. In the San Francisco temple, during the late 60s, early 70s, so many hippies were coming. Allen Ginsberg, he told everybody that when you're coming off an LSD trip, this is the best place to re-enter. You go to the Hare Krishna temple in the morning and you can zone out and hear the kirtan or whatever. So many people, it was packed all the time with so many hippies. You read in a wonderful account in Shama Sundar Prabhu's book, Hunting Rhinos with the Swami. Highly recommend it for anyone who'd like to understand some of the background of the Hare Krishna movement, or if you simply want to understand something about the hippie movement. I mean, really, he explains such a nice detail. So many people were coming, and there was one young man who was coming and eating and that, and well, this is pretty good. You guys are nice people. I appreciate you feeding me. So he asked him one day, he said, is there some service I can do? And they said, yeah, great. Go talk to that man over there. And they pointed at this guy, and he thought, well, he's not a devotee. He's wearing some overalls. He wasn't wearing a dhoti and kurta. He's wearing some overalls, some old jeans and whatever. And he went over and said, well, they told me I should come and talk to you if I can do some service. The man said, yeah, I'm the garbage man here. You can help me, garbage man. Okay, fine, So they helped them, took the whole day. They filled up a big truck full of garbage. They went to the dump and they got rid of it and came back. He spent the whole day with that person, the garbage man. And after that day, he thought, this guy, something about this, that garbage man was the happiest person he'd ever met in his life. He was just such a brilliant, happy person. And he thought to himself, damn, if this is the garbage man, then what to speak of the other devotees? I should become a Hare Krishna devotee. And he joined because of that. And later, his name was Vatsal. He was my first temple president, Prabhupada's disciple. He was our temple president for some years in Los Angeles. And the garbage man, he didn't know. The garbage man was the temple president in San Francisco. His name was Jayananda. He couldn't recognize who that person was. How many of you here have heard of Hanumat Prasad Podar? Raise your hand. You've heard the name. He's done a very wonderful service. We should all give great respect and appreciation to him with Gita Press. He popularized the Bhagavad Gita all over India by subsidizing it, selling it for very cheap prices and that. So he had a number of students. There was one young man who was hearing from him for some time. And that young man came to him one day. He said, I got this book somebody gave me on the street or something. It was a Hindi translation of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said, I've been reading this. It's really amazing. I'd like to know something more about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Can you please tell me? And Hanumat Prasad Podar told him, I'm not the person to talk to, but I have a friend who can tell you more about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His name is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And he's very, very expert in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it just so happens he's coming here to Gorakhpur soon. So the young man was very happy, and Prabhupada came to Gorakhpur with a group of Western disciples. And the young man went to meet Srila Prabhupada, but when he went there, he was disappointed to find that everybody had gone. They went for some walk or something, and Prabhupada wasn't there, and all the devotees were gone. There was just some old man sitting in the room there. And so this young man came in, and he was looking. The old man saw him, and he said, "What are you looking for?" He said, "I'm looking for A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada." And that old man said, "What do you want with him for?" The young man said, "Well, I'm looking for a guru." He said, "What do you want a guru for?" He said, "Well, I want someone who can teach me about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." And the old man said, "Yeah, who's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?" The young man said, "He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead." And the old man said, "He's a devotee. He's not God. That's nonsense." And that young man became angry then. He started arguing with the old man. And then suddenly, in the midst of their argument, a Western devotee came in the room and offered obeisances to the old man. And then that young man, who was a student of Hanumat Prasad Podar, all of a sudden he realized, this was Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada started laughing, and he started telling the devotees, he was arguing with me. Prabhupada liked it. Prabhupada was very happy. Prabhupada tested him. And that young man later became Radha Govinda Maharaj. So we can't see who's a devotee, who's not a devotee. And this is a very, very important instruction for all of us in this pastime. Don't worry about it. If we want to try to be the judge of everyone, you're going to carry a terrible load on your shoulders. It's a very, very difficult job to understand who's qualified and who's not. We don't have to worry about that. Rather, we should focus on what we've been given to do by Guru and Krishna, and not try to be everyone's judge. I don't have to do that. Isn't it such a nice thing? I don't have to be everybody's judge. Hari Bol. That's their problem. I don't have to worry about that. Let me be what I am. And if Krishna wants to put me in some position where it's my job to chastise, to tell someone, eat your broccoli, then I have to do that. And God gives that position to them. There's nothing we can say, isn't it? So I'd like to stop there. I don't know, is it okay? Or what time, can we finish about 1:15? Is that all right, Makarudin?
Yes.
Okay. So I wonder if anybody has any comments or corrections. You have a correction? I said something wrong?
I had a question. First of all, thank you very much for the wonderful, wonderful lecture, Madhavananda Prabhu. Please give a big hand to Madhavananda.
I told Srivas Prabhu this the other day. I said, the only time when people treat me like this is when they want to borrow money. So I don't have money. I'm a poor person. I'm sorry.
So the question I had, Madhavananda Prabhu, is that Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, and Lord Shiva is the best of the Vaishnavas. And we have been told that if another Vaishnava is offended, one shouldn't be quiet and one should get angry at the offender. But in this case, we see that he was not angry with Parvati. So I was wondering if you had insight on why that happened.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments on that. He says that Lord Shiva told Parvati, in effect, that don't worry, it's okay. The Citraketu is greater than you. He's more powerful than you. He tolerated your curse. He's a greater Vaishnava than you are. But don't feel bad. This all happened because of the Lord's desire. And repeatedly throughout this section, our acharyas have described that the Lord orchestrated this whole thing. He made all this happen because he wanted Citraketu to come back to him. And Lord Shiva saw that Parvati was like that. It was a different thing. We know when Lord Shiva, on one occasion, he was in samadhi, and he was crying, and Parvati came and said, who are you meditating on? What's going on? He said, I'm meditating on Ram. Well, who's this Ram? And then Lord Shiva told him told her all about the glories of Ramachandra. And she said, well, I'd like to meet him. And Lord Shiva said, Sadhu Sabadan, be careful. No, I want to go and meet him. Okay, you go ahead. He's in Citraketu. And so Parvati went there. And this was after Sita had been kidnapped. And so when Parvati arrived there, she saw that Lord Ramachandra was crying in separation from Parvati. And Parvati was looking, and she thought, excuse me? Oh, yeah. Lord Ramachandra was crying in separation from Sita. When Parvati saw that, she thought, this is not God. Forget it. So she thought, I'll play a trick. And so Parvati manifested the form of Sita. And she came before Lord Ramachandra, and Lord Ramachandra looked up at her, and he said, Parvati, what are you doing here? And Parvati thought, oh, I made a mistake. So she didn't say anything. She just went back to her husband. Her husband said, so how did it go? Parvati said, oh yeah, it was really good. He's definitely the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I checked him out and everything. But Lord Shiva, he's Trikalagya. He knows everything. You can't trick your husband. And he understood that Parvati had taken the form of Sita. And Sita is a worshipable deity of Lord Shiva. So when he understood that, he said, I can't touch you now. Because you took the form of my worshipable deity. Now I can't, there's no more question of relationship between you and I. And for this reason, this is the internal reason, there's an internal and external reason. This is the internal reason why she committed suicide and gave up her body so she could get another body so she could be with her husband. So sometimes stuff happens. Anything else from anybody? Prabhuji? Is there a mic for him?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, first question is that in your Bhagavatam 6:17-24, when Citraketu is mentioning that I did not commit any mistakes, but whatever mistakes you think I have done, please pardon them. So in today's world, that wouldn't really be qualified as 100% humility, saying, see, I didn't do nothing, but you can pardon. So, I mean, if he's 100% humble and such an elevated part, maybe this is acceptable in the Vaishnava world or maybe the spiritual world, but at least in the normal tickets, we would normally say, I didn't do nothing. I mean, that would show a tinge of impurity in being 100% humble. Is that a correct assessment? Obviously, there's something wrong with it.
Well, in the material world, we have to, it's dog eat dog, and we have to defend ourselves, and sometimes even we have to do that for the sake of our service, for the sake of our job, to maintain our families. But for Vaishnavas, it's a very unpalatable thing. I'm reminded of one of my godbrothers, a senior brahmachari in Bhubaneswar. One of the Western devotees, someone stole his tape recorder some years ago. It was a fancy Bideshi Western tape recorder. This is in Bhubaneswar, India. And somebody accused him of doing it. And so Guru Maharaj chastised that brahmachari, you nonsense rascal, why did you do it? And the brahmachari went to Guru Maharaj and he said, Guru Maharaj, I didn't do it. I didn't steal that thing. Guru Maharaj said, that may be, but you should still go and apologize to them for that. We should just accept. If you want to blame me for something, fine, blame me. And I think even in the course of our job, we should defend ourselves. But sometimes there's nothing you can do. Then okay, fine. Then show your true colors. Be a devotee. Okay, you want to blame me, you want to fire me, whatever, do it. Life goes on, I'm fine. Krishna's going to take care of me. Citraketu wasn't disturbed by Parvati. Why should we be disturbed by getting fired by our job or getting demoted or something like that? At the same time, I understand sometimes we have to, for the sake of our service, we have to say, no, that's not right. I didn't do that thing. Please investigate it further. Please look into it. What they're saying is not true. We have to do that sometimes. But internally, we shouldn't want to be like that. It's a very unpalatable thing to defend ourselves. We may have to do it for our material job, but in spiritual sense, if somebody doesn't want me, fine. Why should you want me to go there? If somebody wants to say something bad, I'm like, very good. Shiva's Thakur said, very good, everybody look and see what I've been doing at night. Come and see. Don't fight with it. Okay?
So, thank you. Prabhu, you differentiated between external and internal, so that was the part I wasn't understanding. So thanks a lot. I have one more question. So in the song that you were singing, there was this part where you have to put the Vaishnava feet in your heart. The question is, obviously it must be appropriate, but what I have a question about is, this Lord is in your heart. And when you put Vaishnava feet in your heart, you're actually not, you're also putting it at the Lord. And is that the right thing to do?
Well, it's also said in the Bhagavatam that Krishna, he's chasing after the devotees to take the dust of their feet and put it on his head. So when we speak like this, it's very difficult to say, is it literal? Is it figurative? What does it mean? I would suggest it has a deep purport to it. It may be literal, but it may also be may have some other deeper purport. That we see the Vaishnavas are like the lotus feet of the Lord. And they're the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Does anybody have any other thoughts about that? Very interesting subject. Have you heard Radha Govindamar say anything about that? Oh. Shraddha Mataji, is there a mic? She's got one. Is that okay? Okay.
This is from Shyam Rupa Das Prabhu. And he's saying that thank you for the deeply inspiring class. And the question is, what is the fine line between committing offenses and speaking up from getting exploited?
The fine line between committing offenses and getting exploited.
And speaking up against getting exploited.
Speaking up against getting exploited. Well, for our own self, just like we see in the case of Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat was going to let them cut off his head and be offered to Durga. Fine, go right ahead. But if it's for my service, if I'm doing some service for Gurudev, this body doesn't belong to me. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, you wanted to commit suicide, but you have no right to do that. That body doesn't belong to you. It belongs to me. It's not just your body to do whatever you want with it. This body belongs to my Gurudev. So for service, I can't tolerate. I'm going to have to speak up. If my service is going to be disturbed, I have to say something. But for my own self, Jad Bharat's teaching us, you can cut my head off, do whatever you want. I'm only dependent on Krishna. There's a story my Guru Maharaj used to tell sometimes that there was one devotee of Lord Narayan who was a king, and he was engaged in a battle, and he was losing the fight in the battle. And Lakshmi Devi was watching things, and she told her husband, look, your devotee's down there, he's getting defeated. You should go and you should help him. And Lord Vishnu told her, he said, no, he's not calling out for me. He's not depending on me. He's depending on his own strength. No, there's no reason for me to go. So if we should be taking shelter, complete shelter of Krishna. Krishna will take care of us. Krishna will take care. Even if somebody wants to cut off my head, we're fine. Ultimately, for someone who's a completely sold-out devotee, they may actually feel that way. And Krishna protected Jad Bharat. Okay? Prabhuji?
So, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, regarding the Srimad Bhagavatam and Citraketu's point, he was mentioning that it is all coming from destiny and from my past deeds. And also he mentioned that it is also the divine arrangement of the Lord to put him into the situation. So is it likely the Indra has to be again chastised by this incident of Vritrasura, because he already got one round, and again in Brihaspati one round. So the poor guy has been getting a lot of stuff in Bhagavatam. So why Lord has to put into such situation where ultimately Indra got the things?
My Guru Maharaj used to say, and Prabhupada writes this also elsewhere, that Vaishnavas have two things they give, kripa and vanchana, or mercy and cheating. And that mercy is easy to see, but the cheating is a little harder to understand. Prabhupada writes in one purport, he said, it's hard to understand that great souls cheat others, but it's a fact. He says that great souls will cheat others. But what is that cheating? Even that cheating is also mercy. Just like Ravan wanted, he could have asked Lord Shiva for so many things, but he wanted to have a golden palace and Lanka and so much wealth and things. And Lord Shiva gave that to him. that was cheating. He could have given him something better. But ultimately, even the cheating was mercy. Because what was a result of that? Ravan was killed by Ramachandra. Narada Muni, he cursed the two sons of Nalakuvera and Manigriva to become trees. That was actually a blessing. It may look like a curse, but in the long run, it was actually a blessing. So we should see that even if we get some instruction from Gurudev chastises us something, we accept that. And Indra wanted some position. And so Krishna wanted to give him mercy. Yes, you should have this position. And then Indra has lots of problems. And there's a reason why he has so many eyes all over his body, and they weren't originally eyes. He has lots of troubles that he goes through in life. But he's teaching us. And one wonderful thing that I think about Indra, first of all, Indra is so exalted. He's thousands of times more exalted than myself. He takes part in Krishna's pastimes. He sees Krishna's pastimes. He's serving Krishna personally. He's doing so many wonderful services. Krishna comes as Upendra, the younger brother of Indra. But Krishna does all these pastimes to teach us, don't aspire just to have a big position. Rather, if Krishna pushes us in that position, if Krishna wants that, then we'll do that as a service. But we don't push ourselves forward. And this is what Indra's done. He's pushed himself forward, and then he's again and again and again throughout the Bhagavatam, Indra shows an example of what happens if you just demand respect, if you demand and you push to have some position. It's a wonderful lesson for all of us. Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. I had this question for a long time. Like, why Shiva was carrying Parvati in his lap? Like, is it just a Lila because he can do anything, or is there any reason behind that? Because actually, a normal saint doesn't do like that.
We could say, I'm sure there's many, many different reasons that could be offered to that. I could offer a couple, which I think we could say, I don't know of any direct commentaries from our acharyas saying it, but I could offer a couple of comments which I think are can be substantiated in different ways. One is that Parvati Devi, she's a personification of the material energy. And Lord Shiva, he's that material force. So the two, they combine together as the yoni and the linga, and they're together. So Lord Shiva's, that's his business. And the sadhus around him, they're appreciating. They're not seeing some mundane, lusty kind of thing. And from a bahiranga karn, an external perspective, it could be also for this pastime to bewilder Citraketu and to teach something. And then on a little more subtle level, it could be that Citraketu knew, he had faith in Lord Shiva, but to arrange this pastime so that to teach the common men shouldn't behave like this, and to also teach the greatness of Lord Shiva. Because Citraketu, he was astonished. He wasn't criticizing Lord Shiva, as we've heard. Rather, he was just saying, wow, this is amazing. He's got the Miss Universe on his lap, in the center of all these sadhus and personalities around him, and he's not disturbed at all. This is an amazing thing. So it's a multi-leveled thing. And this is a really instructive point in general about bhakti. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Krishna Samhita, he says that subtle discrimination is extremely important for Vaishnavas. He says this in the pastime of Dhenu Kasura. And he says that ass-like devotees who are simply attached to the regulated principles, ass-like devotees are only attached to the regulated principles, and they can't appreciate subtle things. They don't have subtle discrimination. So we should be very, very careful. This pastime is all about subtle discrimination. Citraketu was making fun of Lord Shiva, but don't look at it that way. Look at it a little deeper. Parvati's she's cursing Citraketu, but don't look at it that way. Actually, it's Lord Vishnu who's inspiring her to do like that. It's layer upon layer. And if we want to understand it, we have to become very, very subtle persons. And that subtle discrimination is so important for bhakti. It's so important for our community. If we want to progress together, if we just see, what is this guy? Oh my God, I saw him coming out of that pornography shop over there. or this marijuana shop, and you go and start telling all the devotees. But you don't know, maybe the person inside the shop wanted to buy a book or something, and they went in there to sell him a book. We should be careful and speak with them, the devotee first, and have subtle discrimination. That's about all I could think for that. Thank you. Prabhuji?
You have a comment, maybe you've already touched on this. So was Citraketu, is he an eternal associate of the Lord who was sent from the spiritual world to participate in the pastimes? Is he a Nitya Siddha or is he a Sadhana Siddha? Is there any commentary?
I haven't seen any commentary, but from what it looks like, it seems that he's a Sadhana Siddha. The way it's presented in the Bhagavatam, that he was lamenting over the loss of his son and things. And so it's an interesting thing that even in his position, a similar example can be given of, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita to Gopakumar, that the Lord made some arrangement to bring him to him. And it doesn't say that he was bringing him back, or in the case of Citraketu, Prabhupada speaks like that. But in our commentaries of the Acharyas, it's not clear either way. Okay? Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for such an enlightening talk. Prabhu, as you mentioned, offense is very subtle and we have to be so careful about them. Even if, so sometimes we may feel that, because I may have made a mistake in some way. Just some small instance of insensitivity, such as interrupting someone when someone is speaking. So, although at that moment we may not be able to clarify, but later we realize, okay, maybe I made a mistake. And I hope sometimes due to some small instances of insensitivity, even though someone comes to Krishna's lotus feet, by our behavior, they may even be pushed away. So how do we take that individual responsibility and make sure and clarify some such...
subtle discrimination is extremely important for Vaishnavas. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. We have to be very, very careful, and therefore in Puri we see, and all over India amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, before they take prasadam, before they say their prayers, they all say, Sadhu Savadan. Sadhu, be careful. Don't just start eating, oh yeah, this is really good food, I like this a lot. But Sadhu Savadan, be careful in how you're dealing with prasadam. Be careful in how we're dealing with Vaishnavas. It's a very, very dangerous thing. This is a wonderful story to illustrate that. Of Citraketu, because he wasn't so careful, and I'm speaking from one perspective right now, there's other perspectives which would be a little different, but from one perspective, because he wasn't careful in how he dealt with Lord Shiva and Parvati, he took birth as a demon. And we know there's a higher purport behind that. I'm reminded also, I had a discussion recently with Kanka Mataji, Prabhupada's disciple, and I was mentioning something about how one new person I knew, I was staying with them and I gave them some books before I left. And later the lady contacted me and said, wow, I've been reading this book and now I've become a vegetarian. And she contacted me, now I'm starting a chant japa. And she got into it, and she, to the point where she was chanting japa and going to the temple and buying Prabhupada's books and even selling Prabhupada's books. But at a certain point, she cut off. And why? Because she read some nasty stuff on the internet which disturbed her and broke her faith. I mentioned this to Kanka, and she said that she said, you know, when I joined, there were so many things going on, I didn't even know it. Later on I heard there was this scandal and this thing and this. She said, but I was just so happy in Krishna consciousness and just chanting and everything. And she told me, she says, you know, I really think it depends on the individual. And if we're really, really sincere, then those things won't be seen. And again, I'm speaking from one perspective. That doesn't mean that we should just be harsh with every person who comes. And if somebody leaves because we're harsh, we should think, anyway, they're not very sincere. We shouldn't think like that. We should think it's my fault. But there's two different perspectives. We should think this is my fault, and I want to be very careful with these personalities who are coming, because this is not my house. We want to greet all of the guests who come very nicely. This is Madan Mohan's house. And I'm just his servant. And everybody here who comes here, this is his eternal servant, his eternal devotees. And we want to just like the devotees used to say sometimes, I've read in the 70s, and that when somebody would come to the temple for the first time, the devotees would open the door and they'd say, "Welcome home." We want to have that attitude, isn't it, Madhavananda Yangi? Yeah, please. Give her a mic.
I can speak loud enough, I think you're going to speak all right.
Yeah,
Gotcha. So I am...
Speak into the mic, yeah.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So I am thinking of the story and thinking that appearances aren't always what they seem. And we have to reflect, what am I thinking and what's that mean to me? It's often we project out our own prejudice. That vision is blurred by our own outlook. And we have to look deeper, as you said.
I'm reminded when you said that, I don't want to say any names, but there's one disciple, Srila Prabhupada, who's very senior, and Prabhupada took him to India, and Prabhupada gave him sannyas, and he had a funny request from Prabhupada. He said, "Please give me a certificate that I took sannyas." But I said, "You don't need a certificate, you just go and preach." No, I want a certificate. Okay. Prabhupada gave him a certificate, and then Prabhupada told him, now you go to London. And Prabhupada gave him money to go to London and preach. He took the money Prabhupada gave him, and he went to New York. He didn't follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction. He went to New York, and he started preaching to the devotees that you shouldn't wear dhoti and kurta, saris, and this is all nonsense, and don't shave your heads, and all kinds of crazy things. The devotees became a little angry with him later, and he had troubles. And he left, and he had problems with the regulated principles and different things. He caused a lot of trouble. But when he came back, and Prabhupada saw him, Prabhupada started crying. And Prabhupada embraced him and said, "You're always my son." And I think that's such an important thing for devotees to remember. All of you, by Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, you're all pretty much engaged in preaching at some time or another. And I hope all of you have had some good experiences with that sometimes maybe someone becomes a devotee. It's such a wonderful thing, isn't it? And somebody becomes a devotee, you feel some special love for that person. You preach to them, somehow they join, they started chanting in that. And then what if later on they have problems with the regulated principles or this thing or that thing? You don't hate them. You still feel some special love for them. So I think about that, and I think these devotees, Prabhupada's disciples, are the fruit of his preaching. And Prabhupada loved them. And Prabhupada cried when Madhudvisa left. Prabhupada cried when he loved his devotees. And we should always remember, it's a very, very personal thing. Such an important point to remember. We had to be subtle. So thank you for that. And thank you for giving us your association. I really appreciate it a lot. It's not an easy thing to get Madhavananda Vajangi's association. It's very special. Anything else, sir? Prabhuji?
So probably this is off topic. Is that allowed? Okay. So it's a very basic question. Probably I'm neophyte, so please pardon me. No, I'm actually a neophyte. So we put this tilak, right? And we say
only advanced devotees say that. But anyway, go on.
I'll take that certificate. Go to New York. So we put that tilak, right? And it's at the Vishnu's feet. So why did we put that on Krishna's head then? Is that okay?
Why did we put that on Krishna's head? Oh, a very interesting thing. If you go to South India and you see the tilak that they put in Tirupati, they don't put Gaudiya tilak on him. In Shastra it says that we put the same tilak on the deity that we wear, because there's some solidarity there. We like to think of Krishna like that. So we put that kind of tilak on Krishna. Sometimes you see some people put like a half moon tilak on Krishna. They put Sri Vaishnava tilak or Madhva tilak. Tilak is a very, very big subject that I like very much. It's one of my favorite topics. I'll just say this much about tilak, that when we wear tilak, it makes the body a temple of the Lord, but it also is it brands us as a follower of our Gurudev. And you can tell who your Gurudev is, what line you're coming in, by the tilak that they have. That's why personally I think Radhakund tilak is very nice, but I don't wear that because my Guru Maharaj didn't wear that, or my Param Gurudev. Sometimes somebody might, but I wear this Gopi Chandan tilak because that's the tilak of my Gurudev. I want to follow in his line. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, Prabhuji. One more question like that.
Okay.
So, in the Krishna Lila, Radharani and Balaram didn't kind of come together. I think there's a foot imprint on Govardhan where there's foot for one coming in, the other going away or something. Even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaur Lila, Gadadhar Pandit and Nityananda Prabhu kind of didn't go together, right? I mean, so that's what the general understanding is. So why in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, there is the Hare Krishna which is acceptable, but the Hare Rama part, if the Rama represents Balarama, why is the Hare there? This should not have been the Hare there, right? Unless you go deeper and say Rama is the pleasure potency and therefore it's Krishna. So, but if I can't go that deep, then at the outset, Rama is Rama and Rama should go with Hare.
So, it's said in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Jai Rupa Chinche Dasi Se Rupa Hoy. According to the mood of the devotee, the Lord manifests a corresponding form. And that also applies to the holy name. Some people, they think that Ram in the Maha Mantra means Balaram, or something that means Ramachandra, maybe some think it means Parshuram. And maybe they're trying to, Radharani, Parshuram, Radharani. But and Prabhupada, interestingly, when some devotees came to him with a controversy about this, saying, someone saying that Ram means Lord Ramachandra, and another one saying, no, it means Balaram. Prabhupada said, either way is okay. Prabhupada didn't say this is right and this is wrong. But understand who Prabhupada was speaking with in that situation also. And we can note that our acharyas, when they comment, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commented on the Maha Mantra, Jiva Goswami's commented on the Maha Mantra, Raghunath Das Goswami's commented on the Maha Mantra. When they're in their commentaries, none of them have said that Ram means Ramachandra or Balaram, but it means Radhika Raman. It means Krishna, as you were saying. So Hare therefore means Radha. Hare can also mean Krishna, as in Hari. And sometimes when the gopis, because in the Radha Tantra, it says that the gopis are also chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in the spiritual world. Radharani is also chanting it there. But she's thinking Hare is Hari. It means Krishna. So it may mean different things for different persons. And if someone starts chanting it, the Hare Parshuram, Hare Ramachandra, Hare Balaram, okay, then Hari will become Sita. Or Hari will become, some other personality like that. Okay? Anything else is there? Okay. Thank you all very much. For me, when I travel, one of the greatest things for me, I get to learn from the devotees. And one of the most wonderful things I learn from is Vaishnava Sangha. When I see how intimate communities are, and you have a very wonderful Sangha. And I take that very seriously because when you travel someplace, especially today in ISKCON, you go somewhere and they kind of look at you and they think, oh God, what is this guy going to talk about? Is he going to say some controversial thing and disturb this or that? It requires we have to earn the faith of the devotees to enter into a Sangha. And I hope I haven't made any mistakes or anything to offend anybody. And I feel very blessed, really very blessed to be part of your Sangha. You have a very wonderful Sangha here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ju ke, Gaur Premanande, Vanchakalpadurubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha, Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavi, Namo Namaha. Gauranga.
Tiru, Marisai, like L.
Tiru Malusai.